welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Royal Hawaiian Center here at the Royal Grove at Helumua, Waikiki, land of Kamehameha. It is our esteemed pleasure to be hosting the launch of the Eddie Kamae Songbook. Let me just talk a little bit for everyone who is unfamiliar with Eddie. Eddie really is one of the patriarchs of Hawaiian music, an incredible resource, an incredible teacher, an incredible musician and documentary filmmaker, an incredible Hawaiian, and someone whom I think we all look up to as contemporary generations of Hawaiian musicians and entertainers and cultural practitioners. And so we're so proud to have the group here, the gang all together again. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the first group of prodigies of Eddie Kamae, one of Hawaii's patriarchs of Hawaiian music.
E aine o ka lahi, amau o ko lako mea e, mai no a panea e, ua ka pue ka ahai ke ali. Ai e ai la, ai e ai la.
So we're going to get ready to talk more in depth about the songbook. And so all panelists, please come to the stage. We're going to have an awesome conversation about the work that went into the research and the production of this songbook that is now available to the world.
Aloha mai kako, aloha. I am Mainette Benham. I am the Chancellor at the University of Hawaii West Oahu, and we are so very happy to be with you today. What we're going to do right now is talk a little bit about the songbook, give you an introduction to what is actually in the songbook. Let me introduce to you our panelists today. To my left is Lilinoe Andrews. She is a curriculum specialist. She is a kumu of Olelo, Hawaii. She's also our cultural specialist and the primary writer of our songbook. To my left, Lilinoe Andrews. To my far right is Dr. John Magnuson. He is a professor at the University of Hawaii at West Oahu in music. He's also the chair of our humanities department. John, thank you for being with us. And he was responsible for many of the scoring as well as some of the reviewing of the songbook and also some of the teaching resources. And yay, John. Sitting next to him is the archivist of the Kamae archive, Kapena Shem. If you were here earlier, yay for Kapena. I have to say that the Hawaiian Legacy Foundation archive was established in earnest in 2013, and Myrna and Eddie and I were so blessed to have Kapena agree to be the archivist. And from what I understand, Kapena was one of the few people Eddie actually let into the archive.
He was the only one.
He was the only one. And of course, sitting to my right is the infamous Mama Bear of this entire project, Myrna Kamae. So welcome to everybody. Welcome to our panelists. On June 2018, Hui Hana, that's what they called themselves, Kapena, Myrna, and Lilinoe. They always said that they were working very hard when they checked in with me. They actually began in earnest to put together this songbook. And today, May 1st, 2022, we'll be launching it. So we're trying to figure out how to present this book to you in a fun way, but in an informative way to respect the work that both Myrna and Eddie had done over the many, many years. And we decided that what we would do is that we would go to the source. We would go to the kumu, the people from whom Eddie Kamae had learned so much from. So today what we're going to do is presenting you mele that he learned more about music. He learned more about himself as a Hawaiian, and he learned more about his responsibility, his kuleana, to the generations to come. So we're going to introduce you to Auntie Pilahi Paki, who told Eddie, do it now, for soon there will be no more. We'll talk a little bit about Mary Kavena Pukui, who told Eddie, Do it for the children, Eddie, for it will live forever. And to Tutuman Sam Leah from Waipio Valley, who told Eddie, sing for the children, sing for the children. These three, Kumu, were Eddie and Myrna's compass. Everything they did came back to the lessons of sharing our Ike Kupuna. Eddie and Myrna's musical journey, and you notice I say Eddie and Myrna's musical journey is intimately connected to these three teachers and what they urged him to do. So today, our first mele that we're going to talk a bit about is the Aloha Chant and Auntie Pilahi Paki. And I'm going to turn over to Kapena and to John at the end over there. Kapena, can you talk a little bit more, give us a little bit more background about the genesis of the Aloha Chant, beginning with Pilahi Paki's impromptu presentation at the 1970 Governors Conference at the East-West Center.
Aloha, I'm Kapena. So I'm going to share with you about Aloha Chant and the genesis behind that. So Pilahi Paki was one of Eddie's earliest teachers, and when she first met him, he talked to her about his work, and she said, "You call me anytime, and we can talk." And this one instance, he worked with Pilahi Paki to put the music to her message of aloha. Now, Pilahi Paki, she shared this really profound message of aloha. In 1970, she was at this conference all about the year 2000, and at that conference, they're talking about what to do with aloha. And people are saying, oh, maybe we can use aloha more in the promotional materials. Maybe we can give all the tourists lei for aloha. And she stood up unexpectedly, and she said, I want you to know the deeper meaning behind aloha. And she shared this really profound message of aloha. And Eddie Kamae, he really liked that. So he and Pilahi Paki worked together to put music to it, and they did the song Aloha Chant. But for Pilahi Paki and for Eddie, it really is this idea that what the world can use is more aloha. And as the world finds its search for peace, aloha is the answer. And her message is right in that song. But maybe you can play it again. Let's try.
May the spirit of my ancestors, aloha, embrace you always with affection. E is akahai, Hawaii meaning kindness. Express it with a feeling of tenderness. L is lokahi, Hawaii meaning unity. Express it with a feeling for harmony. O is olu olu, Hawaii meaning agreeable. Express it with a feeling of pleasantness. H is ha'a ha'a, Hawaii meaning humility. Express it with a feeling for modesty. And the last A is ahonui, Hawaii meaning patience. Apply it with perseverance. These are traits of character that express the spirit and the people of a land known throughout the world in these words of wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, and understanding. What the world knows in the word aloha. Aloha.
Kind of gives you chicken skin to actually hear the voices of our kupuna. John, I understand that the Aloha Chant and your first meeting with Eddie is very special to you and your ohana. Can you share a little bit of your memories of that, and also talk a little bit about how educators, what they'll find in the pu'olo, and how they might actually teach Aloha Chant?
Yes, thank you. So I just want to first say how honored I feel to be up here with you folks. What an incredible resource the Eddie Kamae Songbook is. I mean, if you folks go to eddiekamaesongbook.org, you'll be able to click on songs and you'll see a list of the songs that have videos attached to them that explain the meaning and the music itself. This resource represents to me multiple ways in to learning about Hawaiian values. These are, as Auntie Pilahi was saying in one of those videos, if you folks go to the site.
So there's a lot of wonderful resources for educators, and that was one of the reasons that we wanted to do this songbook, is we wanted to provide resources for educators, right? So thank you so much, John, for giving us a little bit a taste of what educators can find in this resource book. So let's move over to our next mele, Keala Akajip. So I'm going to talk with both Myrna and Lily Noy about this. Myrna, can you talk about that wonderful day that you and Eddie went on your huaka'i to Ka'u with Mary Kavena Pukui? Especially talk about the trip, because you both wrote the lyrics together, and Eddie wrote the music for it.
Mary Kavena Pukui was one of Eddie's most important resources. And when she asked us if we wanted to go to where she grew up, in Ka'u, with her grandmother, we didn't know that it was going to be a bumpy road. But in that day, we learned how she had her source of knowledge from her grandmother. And at the end of the day, we decided, why don't we write a song so we'll remember all these places that we have been? And so I started writing down some ideas, and Eddie started thinking about the music, and Kavena would translate it immediately into Hawaiian. She just had this brilliant, brilliant mind, as we all know. So we wrote this song about our day in Ka'u, and we got to almost the end, and Kavena said, it needs one more verse. And so she wrote the verse about us being at Uncle Willie Meineke home in Na'alehu. And so that was how Keala Akajip was born.
Mahalo for that story. When you go to the Pu'olo, you'll hear Myrna talk about how they wrote the lyrics together, but you will also see some video about Mary Kavena Pukui and your trip down through Ka'u. And we do have an audio clip. You know, today you're going to hear a lot of Eddie's music, but you're not going to hear Eddie. But you will today through the audio clips that we're going to be presenting. You know, listening to that, Lilinoy, the importance of our pilina with place, because it connects us to our DNA, to our mo'okua, how to our genealogy, to our legacy, to our history is really important. Can you talk a little bit more about that ballet in particular, but also what people can learn not only from the pu'olo that you had put together, but also from the documentaries about the importance of place in his mele?
I think, Maynette, one of the things that we wanted to make sure this songbook had was a relationship to place. We wanted it to have a Hawaiian worldview, and relationship to place is very, very central. This song shows that importance of place to Hawaiians through Mary Pukui's repetition of place names that you would be hard to find on a map today. From the book, I have a short excerpt that I want to read. All of a sudden, Kawena told Eddie to stop the Jeep. She pointed to a small hill and explained that it was a place where her childhood friend had once lived. She got out of the Jeep, stood, and chanted an oli of greeting and aloha. To those who watched her, there may not have been much to see. Her chant, though, filled in the imagery, transforming an arid landscape into one of houses and people busy with their day-to-day tasks. Her chant honored the place, its people, and the memories that remained. Kawena grew up in this place with her grandmother, Naili Po'aimoku. And she knew the places intimately. And on their Jeep trip down, she would stop and, just like in this instance, honor individual places. And I think that is a really good example of that aloha aina.
And you'll find that throughout the songbook as well as through many of the documentaries. Well, let's move on to our next mele, Morning Dew, a ku'u Morning Dew, which is probably the best known of all of Eddie's compositions. This is a love story, a love song written for Myrna. And what folks may not know about its construction is that it was composed over a period of time, very carefully. It had a very interesting beginning to where it landed, right, its composition right now. Right, Kapena? Especially Eddie's very thoughtful way of thinking who should actually sing a ku'u Morning Dew. So I'd like you and Lily Noy to talk a little bit more about the journey of that mele.
Yeah, so Morning Dew began at a dinner party, actually, that Myrna and Larry Kimura and Eddie had. And Eddie stepped out and he got his recorder and he started to record this melody. He heard this really beautiful melody. So he came back and he shared that with Larry and Myrna, and he asked Larry to write the lyrics to that melody. So that was the first iteration of this song. And actually, stepping back a little bit, this was one of the more challenging songs we had to work on because there's just so much materials around this song. I actually had to create 3 folders for the song, for each of the 3 different iterations of this song. So you have Morning Dew, a ku'u Morning Dew, you have Morning Dew Alone Once More, and you have My Morning Dew. And each of these speak to sort of this intuition that Eddie had to further this song, to grow this song. And if you think of the theme today of kumu, and the kumu that led Eddie on his journey, we can also think of intuition, his own intuition, as kumu as well. So it began with that melody. He asked Larry Kimura to write the lyrics. And then once Larry wrote the lyrics, he wanted to find the right person to sing that song. So he sought out Moe Keale. And then that was the first iteration. The second iteration, Morning Dew, Alone Once More, Eddie and Myrna were working on the Hawaiian and English lyrics, and they felt that it needed the right person to sing that song, so they sought out Melvine Lead to sing that song, and she recorded that on her lead album, and she won a Hoku Award for that recording as well. And then Eddie felt like, okay, I think this song needs a prologue and a closing. So they sought out their good friend, Jay Laren, and he worked on the prologue, and then Eddie and him worked on the closing. So you can see that this song has a journey, and even in the Puolo packet, it's the longest song story in the packet, and there was an epic journey in writing that song story.
So people, being their most famous song, people wonder what the inspiration was. And so I got to spend time talking with Larry Kimura about the inspiration for the song. And he went back to his childhood place of Mana on the Waimea side of Mauna Kea. And he talks about his grandfather, who was a paniolo for Parker Ranch. And he talks about the beauty of Mana and the dew and the mist and the places that were there above Waimea. And that was his inspiration, was recalling those childhood moments with his grandfather and his father.
So we have a very special gift for Myrna today. We have the audio clip from the 2008 recording on the album Yesterday and Today, Volume 1, Eddie Kamae and the Sons of Hawaii. We have Eddie singing to Myrna, E Ku'u Morning Dew. Listen very carefully, because you can hear the deep love that he has for Myrna.
Good morning dew, aliamai, aliamai, maliamai oe, ikau ehene, e kalimai oe, iahune. Mai ke alaula o lili ko leila e ho he lawana ine ya papalina e o ka o mana i ka iu no kawa e pili mawai walila no kawa e pili mawai.
Just got to let that soak into your skin. What love was there? What love continues to be there? Well, we're going to end our time with you with a mele that Eddie learned from Tutu Man Samlia of Waipio. And it is appropriate that we actually conclude our presentation today with Sam Lia because before we publicly launch the songbook, because he reminds us all of our kuleana to teach, to pass along our ike kupuna to the next generation. So let me ask the panel real quick. Kapena Lilinoy, John, very quickly, why do you believe that this was the appropriate mele for us to end with today?
I can start. So this mele, Hui Vaianahea, is a mele that that Sam Lia shared with Eddie, and it was a song that was composed by Walter Kuikahi in 1889, and Sam Lia was born in 1881. And this song Walter Kuikahi was part of the Glee Club of Waipio, and with his band, and Sam Lia was part of that band, they strived to uphold the name of Waipio and its history. So that band was really an inspiration for Eddie and his music too, because he strived to uphold the traditions of music with the music that he and his band sang. So when we think about this song, I think about the legacy and responsibility that Sam Lia shared with Eddie. I think of how Eddie really internalized that and sought to share the music that he learned from Sam.
I think that what resonates with me is this song, Hui Vaianuhea, is such a source of place names, history, politics, geography. It is an amazing song. And like Kapena said, the point of the song was to uphold the name of Waipio Valley. But this song is an example of so many of the other songs that are in the songbook, in that they encompass so many resources. And so I think it's a rich song.
I'm so in love with this idea that Uncle Eddie reached back and looked for his kumu, and he found Sam Lia, a violinist in Waipio Valley, and just that idea that we can go out and find our own kumu is beautiful to me.
So Myrna, Sam shared with Eddie so Eddie could share with us. Any last words before we launch?
Sam Lia Kalainaina loved Waipio Valley. He loved people. He loved children. And the songs that he has written and that you will find in these songbooks, in this songbook, are beautiful. They're really telling you the story of a time gone by that you can really enjoy forever. So aloha Sam Lia, Mary Kavena Pukui, Pilahi Paki, and of course, Eddie Kamae.
Mahalo to you, Myrna. Myrna, you and Eddie are helping all of us to keep our mo'olelo, our ike kupuna, alive.
But we're going to end with this clip, and it's actually the ending scene of the Lia documentary, which is the first documentary of Eddie and Myrna's, released in 1988. Yeah. yeah, 1988. But we wanted to end with this because if you think about the songbook, there's 34 songs in it total, and out of that, 15 of them are Sam Lia songs. That's about over 40% of his songs. So in this clip, it really is a celebration of that gift of sharing that Eddie strived to do, that was passed on to him from Sam. You'll hear Auntie Ruth, who remembers Sam Lia trying to teach them music. So you'll hear from her. You'll hear from Luther Makikau, who was a contemporary of Sam Lia, who shared one of the most precious songs in the songbook, Kupua o Kalehua. Most beautiful song, and it's in there. So I'm really excited for that. So you'll hear him. And you'll also hear from Sam Lia's nephew, John Thomas, talking about how beautiful of a violin player Sam Lia was. And then you'll hear Eddie and Brother Smitty talking about that gift of Sam Lia's music. And you'll hear Eddie sing that song as well. So with that, we'll play. But hold on, one more thing. I do want to plug Ulu Ulu again. We have Koa, you have Hoku, you have Robbie, and you also have Haunani back there. And they're the ones that are really heavy lifting all of the processing of our raw footage So we have over 1,500 hours of raw footage from our documentaries, and they're the ones digitizing it, cataloging it, making it accessible. And the Songbook really incorporates all of that, and that's why it's online. It's because it incorporates the voice, it incorporates all the videos that are in that archive. So I just want to mahalo them for being here today, and for doing all the heavy lifting work of making it come alive for us. Because we can hear Eddie's voice, we can hear him sing, and that's just remarkable. So with that, let's play it.
Today we are talking his history. I don't know if he hear at us, or maybe he can see at us. We cannot see him, but his spirit see us.
Ai na kaulana I ka malihi I ka pae pae ka maoli loa O mili loa ke ali inu No puna me hilo na ho'okele
Sam Lea was a violin player. When he plays violin, old folks shed tears. He played the songs that the old folks knew very well, and he make them cry. The violin cry and the old folks cry. Right now, memories come back to me. My tears falling down. My tears. Memory. My memories come back. My baby days.
Akahia lana o mana E nui tarai o vai a moa Ai nai a mai ana kapuana No ka hui vai anhea au e lahe
He lived a very wonderful life, but music, you don't touch him with music. No, I don't think so. The violin, I seen him play violin. That man is wicked. He was really gifted. Violin, whatever, piano, organ. Oh, he was really gifted.
Hey, Pop, you picked the right person to teach.
Yeah. Well, Sam picked me, I hope. Yeah. I gotta find the right sauce, I found him. He shared. Now I share.
What a man.
Yeah. Super man.
Well, thank you once again to all of our panelists. You've got it right there. Thank you again to Royal Hawaiian Center, to Aaron Salah and Monty McCumber. Thank you very much. Thank you for the Hawaii Legacy Foundation board members. I see you all here. So mahalo, everybody. Enjoy this songbook. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Aloha. Mahalo.
E wahine o e no halava mai, e nani maoli no, ka heki no o e ka ui ke la, e vehi no ku nui ki no.